Okay, here we are, day 2 of the 7-day Guitar Fretboard Unlock challenge. So in the last video we talked about the musical alphabet, and today we're running through tuning and octave patterns. So just to recap on yesterday, we talked about the 7 letters of the musical alphabet, which is A through to G, and then it repeats that cycle. A, B, C, D, E, F, G, A, B, C, D, E, F, G. Okay, talked a little bit about sharps and flats. So in between each natural note, which refers to just like A or B or C, we have either a sharp or flat depending on the layout of the piano with the black keys, which was talking about the intervals a whole step and a half step. Okay, so all of that is in that first video. Hopefully that all was making sense. And today we're going to do the open strings on the guitar. We'll start with that. So the guitar is tuned, and we're going to begin with the lowest string to the highest. So we have an E, an A, D, G, B, and then an E. Okay, so we have 2 E strings on the guitar. So the guitar is tuned this way just to help with chord shapes and scales and accessibility with our left hand. There is a little bit of a pattern here. Everything is in fourths except the G and B string, which is the distance of a third. So the distance between E and A, so E, F, G, A, 4 notes, 1, 2, 3, 4. So we call that a fourth. And it's the same, A to D, fourth, D to G, fourth. Now G to B. So if we go G, A, B, that is 3 notes, so that's a distance of a third. And then B to E, we're back to fourths. Okay, so I'll grab the guitar in a minute and we'll go through this tuning, but that's pretty much all we're going to talk about for that. Now, octave shapes. Okay, octave shapes. So an octave, referring to 8. Another way to think about this is from any letter in the musical alphabet to the next of that same letter. So A to A is 8 notes, so an octave. B to B is 8 notes. C to C is 8 notes. So when you look at the layout of the piano, if you find a C and then you count the distance between that C, all the white keys to the next C, we have 8 notes, and that's an octave. And that note can be higher or lower in pitch. So we'll grab the guitar now and have a look at how this all works. Okay, so we'll start with the guitar tuning. So I'm going to hit the top string, which is the lowest string, and that's an E. Moving down, we've got an A, a D, G, B, and then E. Okay, so the guitar has 2 E notes on the top and bottom. Okay, so at the end of the last video, we found the notes across the low E string, and all we're going to do now is review that. So we'll go through them again. So we've got E, F, G, A, B, C, D, and then E again at the 12th fret. So how to find an octave? Think of it like this. From whatever note you're on, or whatever string, say we're just using the top string, you go down 2 and then across 2. Then we have our octave. So E string, go down 2 strings, 1, 2. So now you're on the D string, and then come across 2 frets, 1, 2. And that's an E note, and it's 1 octave from the low E. So that's your first octave. Okay, start there. Now when we move to some fretted notes, so we start with F. So F is on the first fret, move down 2 strings, 1, 1, 2, and then across 2 frets, 1, 2. So from the first fret on the E string down to the D string and across 2 frets, so it would be on the 3rd fret. There's our octave. Okay. From the G, 3rd fret down 2 strings, it's always the D string from the E. 1, 2, so 3, 4, 5, 5th fret, and you have your first octave from the G. Okay, and that works all across the neck. Okay, so practice that, get really comfortable doing that. Now, just looking at your fingers, you have a string in between, make sure you have that, and then you just have the gap of 1 fret. So the guitar is very visual, so we use these as little cues to help us find these shapes. Now that works for the in-between notes, the sharps and flats as well. So you've got F sharp here on the 2nd fret, so you would have F sharp down and across. We're going to do that with the A string. We're just going to demonstrate the same shape. So now we're on the A string, down 2 strings, D, G, and then across 2 frets. So from open to the 2nd fret, and there's our octave. Okay. And it goes all across. Now the A string, this is another thing we're going to start incorporating into our practice, is finding the letters on the A string. So A, B, C, D, E, F, G, and then back to A. So between B and C, there's no fret, so that's a semitone or a half step. And E and F, that's a half step as well. I almost forgot that. So you can find any note on the A string and then find the octave underneath that. So let's do the A strings. This video might be a little bit longer than the other one. A is open, B 2nd fret, C 3rd fret, D 5th fret, E 7th fret, F 8th fret, G 10th fret, and then A again on the 12th fret. So from those notes, you can find the octave just by going down 2 strings and across 2 frets. Now with the next string down, the D and the G string, we have a slightly different arrangement. So from the D string, you still go down 2 strings, 1, 2, but you go across 3, 1, 2, 3. And that is the same from the G string to the high E string. So the distance is 2 strings and then across 3 frets. And that's how you get the octaves on those 2 strings. They're a little bit less important for now. Just focus on the E string and the A string. All right, let's give you something nice and easy to follow, because that was a lot. E string, So just start by finding these octaves. So the E, which is open, so down 2 strings, so that would be the D string, and then across 2 frets, so 2nd fret, and then you've got your octave note. Okay. The G, 3rd fret. So you go down 2 strings, which is the D string, and you go across 2 frets, which is the 5th. And from the 5th fret, you will hear the same note, the G note, but an octave higher in pitch. So repeat that for all of these letters here. And then we'll do the same for the A string. A string, so open, B, 2nd fret, C, 3rd fret, D, 5th fret, E, 7th fret, F, 8th fret, G, 10th fret, and then the 12th fret is obviously A again. Okay, so from A, open, so down 2 strings. So from the A string down 2 is to the G. And you go across 2 frets. So from an open across puts you on the 2nd fret. Okay, now the B note. So you're on the A string, 2nd fret, down 2, so G string, across, so 2nd fret, across 2, 4th fret, alright? And just follow that pattern all the way across. So that's all we'll do for this video. With your guitar, go all the way across the E string. Get really familiar with those notes, E, F, G, A, B, C, D, E, and then practice the octave shape, so going down and then across. And then we'll do the same for the A string, A, B, C, D, E, F, G, A, and then playing the octaves underneath those notes. And we'll see you in the next video.